I had to finish this story. What happens to her as soon as she steps into the ice? So while the ads, give a tremendous amount of details, we want them to get that detail, set.
What happens to the individuals in the picture? Create and decide their faith based on your prior knowledge of history and the topic.
This is this piece of art. I want you to take a look. We're going to cut the do now just a little short because I want to give an example. This was their vision after reading one of these ads we've been working on for the last couple days. My painting was inspired by an ad for a Runaway in the New York Gazette on September 4th, 1766. Ben was a 28-year-old slave who pretended to drown on a hot summer day by leaving his clothes near the shore. I thought this was a good idea to avoid being chased. I wanted to show Ben in the future with his son. Again, the imagination, what you folks have been doing by finishing some of these stories, right? I imagined him owning his own boat. It is Saturday in August, just like the day he ran away. He is happy and free. His son is swimming and is having fun. It makes me feel good to have this depiction that he actually does get away from slavery, right? Because when we think about slavery and the fact that people were once enslaved, it kind of is a big downer, isn't it? Let's face it. So this is a feel-good image that he's created for himself. I looked at some colonial woodcuts in a book in art class to learn what a boat looked like back in the 18th century. Outside research, right? What we encourage all the time. I spent many days doing a pencil sketch on the waves and the details of the boat. I added the father and son last and finally painted it. He likes his artwork. Violet ran away yesterday. She was reading her book, and that's where we left off, and that was the story your imagination was going to finish. And here's an example. Violet is on the front porch reading a book while her two kids are playing with their father, teaching them how to play runaway slave. Violet looks up from the book to check out how the kids are doing. She gathers her husband and her children around her to tell them the story about how she became a free woman. She starts to recollect all the memories of the adventure, troubles, and suspense she had to go through. Then, she starts to convey her story on how her journey first started. It was a bright but cold spring day when the breeze outside is cool while the slaves are working outside on the plantation with only regular clothing on, with no jacket or hat. They hot or cold? Are the slaves hot or cold? What do we think? Cold. You can see Violet working in the distance, picking cotton from the plants outside. Violet has a scar under the right eye after getting brutally whipped yesterday for misbehaving. Do you see these details in the imagination that are being added? Sky is the limit. Now, when you create your artwork, you might want to create somebody that bears these very scars. Are you with me? So what you are able to create in literature, I'd like you to put down on art so the quality of your artwork matches your writing. While she is working, she stuffed biscuits, water containers, and more supplies into her secret bag. As she is finished packing, she storms out of the house and enters the terrifying woods. What's terrifying woods look like?
It's forest, but it's dark in there and it looks creepy with all these animals that you probably don't know because slaves back then probably couldn't read, and they probably didn't know about most animals. They just know how to breed them and stuff. So basically, I think that's what they thought was scary, terrifying woods.
Sounds pretty scary, your description to me.
Dead trees since it's cold outside, and well, it's dark. There's owls hooting. It's really terrifying for them. They wouldn't bother to go inside the woods, but if they have to, they have to.
People doing desperate things because they're at desperate times, aren't they? Absolutely. So these are just some examples of where we can go with our imagination when interpreting these things.